Yeah. All right, we are live. Hi, everybody. It's Catie Harris, owner and CEO of Nursepreneurs.
Hi, everyone.
And
I'm Jill Weberding. Oh, I just jumped in anyway. I'm Jill Weberding. I'm owner and CEO of Nursepreneur. And we're your inner game dynamic duo.
Woo, I need this. Like, I actually use these for my own benefit every week and don't pay Jill for it. So I get it for free.
Is that why we keep doing
this? This is the guys. Exactly. So if you guys have questions, comments, be sure to put them in the chat box. But in the meantime, Jill, we are talking about being addicted to the struggle today. Is that right?
Yes, we are. And let's just be honest. We've all been there. We've all been addicted to the struggle at some point in our businesses, or, in the path of being an entrepreneur. And certainly, I think most of us feel that, particularly in the beginning, right? Is that when you struggle with it most, Catie, in the very beginning?
Yeah, well, I pretended to struggle with my website for at least 6 months while I was setting up my business. Yeah, I did like that.
Why is that? Why did you spend 6 months being addicted to struggling with your website? What was the payoff for that?
Well, I could pretend to have a business and at the same time not actually do anything that would put me out there, and kind of expose me as a fraud and how silly I was being by putting a business together.
Yeah. So, like, anytime
Is that deep
we do
enough?
something, that's it. Like that, you nailed it. I mean, and that's what so many of us do. For that's the payoff, right? Everything we do, guys, there's a payoff for it. So, like, even our bad habits, there's a payoff. Otherwise, we wouldn't keep doing it. That's our brains, our reptilian brain. Not just out of, like, there's a reason why you're doing it. You get a payoff. And so for some of us, perfectionists, procrastinators, the benefit of those habits and behaviors is that you stay safe. You never actually get your stuff out there. And the same is true. It's the same mechanism, the same payoff of, I'm not good at tech. I really just want to help, all these people, but I don't know how to put a lead magnet together. I don't have a website, like whatever it is, because you're addicted to, I'm not good at tech, whatever it is for you. But you need to look at what are the places, the areas in your business that you are really addicted to the struggle, that are really hard for you. And why is that? You need to look at a little bit deeper as to what's going on and what's the payoff you're getting for that.
Yeah, I mean, and we've seen this too, with some of our clients where we're actually trying to put the website together for them. And I've had a couple clients drag this out for almost a year now. It's been almost a year.
Oh my gosh.
That
a year.
Yeah. And they're making these minor tweaks. No, yeah, and that's what I told the team. I'm like, let's just, we'll keep doing these little tweaks once a month or something, until they're ready. But that this client needs an intervention. They need Jill. They need to be in this membership.
They need an intervention, right? Like, that's what it's about. And that's the thing. A lot of times we get so hung up on, we tell ourselves it's this roadblock, this logistic piece, this one thing. I just don't know how to do this. And that's all, like, focusing on, quite frankly, the wrong thing. That's just what we're using to keep us safe, to not get us out there. So what is it that you need to work through up here so that you are not perpetually getting ready to get ready, right? Like, if you want to do this, there's a reason why you're dragging it out. And so, and that's right. Almost always an inner game issue.
Yeah. And that was one of the reasons that we had built in creating an offer so quickly into NBD, Nursing by Design, was because it's so easy to kind of tweak and twiddle and do all these things. Yeah.
That don't
And then
actually
that
add or
constant
change.
learning. Right. And it was scary. Like that was really scary for them to be like, oh my God, I'm not ready. But you're never going to be ready. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain amount of preparation. You don't want to go out completely cold, but
no. But I mean, they're all doing the work. I mean, they were all doing the work, and my current students too. They're all doing the work, and it's there is a point where you have to just get out there. Otherwise, again, you don't actually have a business. If nobody knows you exist, you refuse to put an offer out there. Me, for the first, I don't know how many months, year, like I was just doing stuff for free, didn't want to put an offer out because I had all these bad money, mindset stories that were limiting me from doing what I said I really wanted to do and what I really did want to do. But it was an inner game issue. It had nothing to do with me not having a website, with me not knowing, all the ins and outs of marketing or sales funnels. None of that mattered. I just simply needed to start reaching out and telling people what I could do and how I could help them. But I made,
I think
these other things be the roadblock.
Right. And you might have experienced, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but, we had one of our students, one of the nurses in your cohort, actually was able to put your website together fairly quickly, at least the first iteration of it. And it once that website is kind of taken off your plate, you're like, oh, crap. Like, it's what happened to me. And I'm like, oh, crap. Like, now I have to do something.
Now what? Ugh, now what am I going to say is the reason, right? Like, I need to find a new struggle. Well, I don't know how to maintain my website.
Instagram. I need at least 10,000 Instagram followers before I offer anything.
Means nothing. Like, again, look at your pattern of behavior. So if you have been that person, if you've already been like that, well, it's this, and then that problem gets solved, but then you suddenly find another new burning, struggle that is the big roadblock of why you can't get yourself out there and start helping people. It's not the actual thing. It's this. You've got to work through, whether that's fear of failure, fear of judgment, money stories, the bad money stories that you have. And so you won't put a price on your services, whatever that is. That's what's actually going on. That's what being addicted to the struggle is it's so hard to be an entrepreneur. Well, of course it's hard. Like, you're starting a business. Did you think that creating a business was easy? It's not a hobby. I mean, there's lots of entrepreneurs, everybody, if you started a brick and mortar, this is hard. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces. It is a whole new specialty. So I love that you're doing, Catie, you're doing kind of speaking to this of, do you really want to be an entrepreneur? Or do you just want to control your schedule, work from home, have more autonomy, blah, blah, blah? Like, that's still an employee mindset. You really just want to be an employee, but you want to do what you want to do. That's very different than having a personal drive to create a business, often because you want to solve a problem, right? You want to you want to increase your impact. You want to solve a problem that you saw while you were in the system and nobody's addressing it. And here it is, all these people struggling, and you have the skills, the experience, the capability to actually solve that problem. That's what drives a lot of nurses to become nursepreneurs.
Yeah, and you see that a lot too, and a lot of them are kind of like either accidental entrepreneurs or some of them are unwilling, but they're like, I have got to solve this problem, and I'm going to figure this business piece out of it too. But they move very quickly, and I think those are the ones that we see that we're like, oh, well, they're special or they're unique or something. But the truth is that they are really passionate about putting an offer out there and solving the problem. And that's the difference from the rest of us where we think we have to have that website set up, and its website is so irrelevant.
Yep. Yeah.
It's nice.
I mean, when you're
nice to have one.
It's a good, I mean, it's nice to be able to send people somewhere, but you can do that on a landing page in Thinkific or a platform that already exists. I mean, you don't have to create an elaborate website. You can do a one-page thing out of ActiveCampaign. I mean, there's so many ways to solve the problem. So again, look at what that is. But most of us, when we're addicted to the struggle, we're making it all about us. And in actuality, your business is not about you at all. It's about solving a problem, like you said, for whoever it is that you're serving. But it's about this. So really, it's just coming through you. So stop dragging your damn feet. Quit hoarding all your skills and your expertise. Like, start helping people.
Yeah.
They're literally, I say that all the time. Like, people are waiting for you. And so how long are you going to make them wait? Because right now they're getting help from chat rooms. I mean, we can surely do better than that. We're nurses, right? Like, we could obviously serve at a higher level and give better advice, support, education than non-medical people in a chat room, which is where a lot of patients are going because it's what they have access to. So people who are far less qualified than nurses who we see who are in this space usually have years of experience in their specialty, and they're like, okay, I really want to do this. Like, but they're still afraid to get out there because imposter syndrome you mentioned, or inner critic, or the money stories, whatever is getting in the way. And right now, those people are being served at a subpar level just because someone's willing to show up.
Right. Yeah. And, what's interesting too, another, I think, hang up people get it is on the marketing. And it is kind of this big nebulous blob of like, oh my God, what do I do for marketing? But, it was, and it can be very, very expensive. So people have said like, I don't have money, I can't do this. And I remember there was this marketer, and it wasn't that long ago, maybe a year ago, and his challenge was to build and market this business, an online business, for absolutely $0. And he did the entire thing completely organically from free resources that he was able to get off of the internet with like no coding and stuff. It's pretty remarkable. You have to like Google it, but talk about somebody working from like, really
nothing.
It's a drive. Like he was driven to make a point and to solve this problem. And so when you have clarity, and we've talked about clarity before, but like when you can see the end goal, like all of a sudden these obstacles kind of like they just shift out of the way, or you're like, all right, well, I'm just going to go around this instead of like sit here and contemplate how to get around the obstacle.
That clarity helps. You're not helping anybody. Like right now, as you're, up in your office, beating your head against your keyboard because you struggle with tech, you're not helping anyone. Like you're certainly not serving yourself and your family, and you're not helping who it is that you've actually have set out to help because you're stuck on this piece. And my husband is an entrepreneur too, and he's been in business, gosh, I don't know, we might even be almost 20 years now, at least 15 years. And we started out, it was brick and mortar. We started out and he was the guy who was like, he was creating all this stuff, right? He does, anywhere. It's like a retail shop. So he was making all his products. And then he was also the guy who was checking them out. And he was like crushed. He took it all personal if somebody picked something up and put it back down, or said, this is, I don't know if it's really, I don't know. I didn't really want to spend that. Every time somebody made a comment about the prices, every time somebody said, well, I don't know, we might be back. Like he took this as a personal attack on him. Like he hated it. It was so hard. And he did this for months, actually, probably the first couple of years, being the person. And I was like, so why don't you just hire somebody? Like, why are you continuing to torture yourself? Like you really, and by the way, it'd be much less expensive than essentially setting your money on fire because you're a much higher paid, rate of a person in this business. You should be back here doing design and doing, all this other things that are in your, prototyping, new products, all the stuff that's in your zone of genius that nobody else can actually do. all the stuff with the lasers and everything, and you're up here checking out a $5 ornament. Like, how long are you going to do this? And he's just like,
right.
I don't.
That's funny because I still get caught
to.
up in that. Like I get caught up in that because, like, you know, even with, yeah, no, you do feel like you have to, and like nobody can do your business the way that you can do your business, but you have to, you know, in the beginning, right? You know,
Yes.
you do have to, you have to know how the business runs, and you do need to have some semblance of what's going on. And yeah, maybe you don't have the funds to hire somebody, but as soon as the money starts coming in, and this is one of the other videos that I made, was like that first year is, it's not only about learning, but it's about, you know, getting to a break-even point. And one of the things that nurses and nursepreneurs and entrepreneurs in general, when they're really into it, they forget to actually pay themselves because they're always kind of at break-even. And if any money comes in, they're afraid to take it out, and they got to keep putting it back into the business. But there's some truth to that, because like in the beginning, you do need to keep putting it back into the business, and hiring the right people strategically will change everything for you.
Everything.
And it'll get you over those obstacles. Yeah.
It truly, like, it exploded our business. It exploded his business, because once he got out of that tortured state of struggling and hating what he was doing, because he was doing the part that he didn't like, didn't come naturally, didn't fit his personality, wasn't aligned in any way. And it was torturous. And he just had this defeated, disheartened, frustrated, all the things that I see the nurses talking about when they're like, the tech, or the marketing, like all those pieces of the business that they really hate, but they just keep coming back for more, you know, hitting their head against the wall. And once they shifted to him finding someone, which again was much less expensive than he thought it would be, to hire someone to do that role, he could go to the back of the shop and actually do what he's good at, which was design and the product, you know, prototyping and all the actual making of the stuff, which is, for nurses, it's the actual services. Then you can focus on your actual services and helping people. And when you can, then you get into this state of flow, and it changes everything. Like, you don't dread getting up and working on your business because you're doing the part that you're really good at, the part you were made for, right? And that energy changes everything. Like, you attract more people. You don't, you know, like, it's really, and I know we get, you know, sometimes people are like, whatever, you get in the woo, you know, when I'm like, no, it's an energy thing. And when you are constantly in the negative, the struggle, this is so hard, I don't have any money, it just attracts more of that. You're going to get, that's where all your attention is. And you're just going to keep getting more and more evidence of that. More struggle, more hard, less customers, people interested, and then they go away, you know, and it just feeds this vicious negative cycle. You're repelling because of the state that you're in. And when you shift, when you make the shift and actually operate out of what you're really good at, what you're in this for, and helping the people that you want to help, you kind of take yourself out of the picture, and you really do recognize that it's just coming through you. That's it. It's just coming through you. So the quicker you can shift, and again, some of these, honestly, these VAs, virtual assistants, it's like it's $10 an hour or less. Some of them are $5 an hour, depending on what the task is. And so isn't that a whole lot cheaper than you spending 10 hours, 2 days, a week on a task that you hate, struggle with, and drag out? What is that actually costing you to do that piece of the business?
Right. And, you know, I would add that a caveat to that, in that, you know, as you're moving through your business, it's writing down the processes of how you do stuff, no matter how mundane and silly and obvious you think it is, because your intention should always be to, you're going to pass this off. And if you're going to pass it off to somebody, they need to know how to do it like you do it and how you want it done. And I made that mistake very early on, and was just like, all right, well, I want you to go, you know, do this. And, you know, when they didn't do it exactly the way that I thought it should be done, because I couldn't read my mind. it was pure frustration. And then it was just kind of that, oh, well, I'm the only one that can do this. And, so creating those obstacles again for myself. Yeah. I proved that nobody else can do this but me.
Yep. I knew it. I knew that nobody could do it like I could do it. Like, yeah, because you didn't tell anyone how to do it. You just expected, like you said, that they could read my mind and would know how I want it done. No, make a process. Give them think checklist. Think in like that type of a systematic way that you could hand it to somebody. And that's a great way to like, have I explained this thoroughly? Can I hand this to somebody who doesn't know anything at all and hand them this and they would know and be able to follow the steps? If yes, then you've got it down. Move on to the next thing. Yeah. What next do you have to systemize?
Yeah. And that's a great way to automate your business from the get-go and start letting go of those menial tasks first that you hate, like you're talking about, because you're right, it does change everything. And when I'm in like a dark black cloud of like negativity, it's just like there's no money, there's no clients, there's nothing coming in, and it's just like this vicious circle or the cycle, and it's horrible. It's horrible.
And like just think of like if you're in that space and then someone says they want to book a discovery call with you, like how do you think you're showing up to that call?
You know what, me? Like, I suck. I don't have any clients.
How are you? How are you showing up? You don't flip a switch and now all of a sudden you're on and they can feel your excitement and your energy. Like you have, you've like put yourself down in the muck. Like you are operating in that bad, dark space of lack and frustration and disheartenment. And it's like, and then you get a call and be like, hey, like, yeah, I can help you with that. I mean, that's not convincing. People can feel it. They can sense it, whether you're doing videos or you're, doing discovery calls, having conversations, your energy just comes through. They can see that you're frustrated. They can feel it. So whatever it is that you have to do to get out of that mode. And again, I would often tell you that it's probably cheaper than you think to get that piece off your plate, whether it's just a one-time thing to get your business to the next level, to move the needle and say, okay, now I've got this in place. Now I can actually do this, whatever that is, it's probably cheaper and worth, even when you don't have money coming in, the investment of knocking it out, being able to move forward than just staying in this very bad place. Right. In your business.
Ultimately, you have to make an offer. So no money's ever going to come in, no matter how much you tweak your website, until you actually make an offer. And if you want to get to that offer quicker and as quickly as possible, getting help to do the things that you can't, and to stop looking at obstacles or these roadblocks as things that you have to like move mountains or something. Like just go around it, like just find another route, or pay somebody to move the mountain, like just to get. And that's too, Jill, like, so when we talk about, when nurses ask me how much it's going to start, how much does it cost to start a business, and that's really, really variable. But I mean, in that first year, I would say, like, no matter what business model you're in, you're going to spend $20,000, somewhere around that 20,000 mark. So easily. And you should even kind of strive to do that. And get people, expect that you're going to do that, and get people to help you, like anticipate that, make that your budget for the year. And how can I bring in VAs or something to help me? And, how can I get somebody to build my tech stuff and somebody to build the website, and just let's get that offer out there and try and break even by the end of the year. I mean, it's a really good goal to go for.
Yeah. And I will say I did not spend that, but I also stayed stuck. Right. So my question, or probably my answer, if somebody asked me that, my question would be, well, how fast do you want to be profitable?
There you go. That's better.
So, like how much does it cost? It's like, well,
time versus money.
Yeah. I mean, it's how fast do you want to be profitable? How fast do you want to scale? Like, how many clients is your goal? Like, what's the goal? And then, you can work yourself backwards. But if you think that you're going to be profitable in the first year, then you're going to have to put, like you're going to have to invest, right? And then have a goal and run like heck to get to it, have a plan. And so that might be equipment, that might be training, that might be, again, when my husband started a business, he had to buy a laser and equipment. It was a $25,000 piece of equipment. It was an essential part of the business. It was how we were making products. So because he knew that, we didn't blink at that investment. It was just like buying a car. Like, well, it's essential. I mean, we can't do the business without it. So if you are the business, like you yourself, then the investment is in you, in here, in either training or skills or hiring people to do the skills that you don't have to get your business to profitability. So it's really just a matter of how long do you want the runway to be, because you can do it as slow as you want, but the less you invest, the longer it will take in my experience. So like when I started investing in training, that's when things shifted for me. When I really started investing in a mastermind and, and having people, do this service, this piece that I didn't want to do and had been hanging me up for a long time, or like the training of, okay, I don't understand this. Well, I need to learn it. So who am I going to use as a mentor to teach me how to do this piece that I don't understand, but know I need and will help me make the offer? Like, it's just, how fast can I make an offer? And what is it going to take for me to get there?
Right.
Like, that's how much.
I would argue too that you really need to look at as well, like the amount of time that you're spending and it as well, because you could be working overtime and bringing in money, and instead you're working on this business or whatever. So you have to factor in your time as well. And even though that's not kind of like an outlay of direct money, it is an outlay of money. It's a cost. It's definitely a cost to the business.
Yeah. And I mean, I had one of my students, today, and she said that, she's working full time and, working on her business, starting her business up. And she needed, she was having this time suck of managing a group in a community that she is, building up that will be potential clients. But it's that's time that she clearly doesn't have. We've all only got 24 hours in the day. So how are you prioritizing that time? And nobody's going to the people who are killing it in business don't have a magic genie that's giving them extra hours. They're just allocating their hours differently than you, right? So what you have, like if you have a full-time job, okay, it's this many hours. That leaves me this many hours left. And how much of that am I going to be able to devote to my business? And then as a result, what am I going to have to hire out? Or, and so she's like paying a VA to manage this be a community manager. And she's like, oh my, it's like the best money ever spent, because it still is building her business, but it's off her plate and it's something that she could delegate, so what is that for you? Is that, setting up your email? Is that, building your website? I don't know what it is. What's going to get you to the offer? What do you have to have in place? And that's actually
that's what
less than you think.
It is. And it's funny because when I look at my team sometimes, and we have a fairly large team at this point, but I'm like, and I see the expense of it and I'm like, oh, I'm going to get rid of, maybe some of these VAs because I don't need everybody. And then I start going through it and I'm like, oh, but if I get rid of that VA, then I got to start doing it and I don't want to do it. So all of a sudden,
back to you.
All of a sudden I'm like, you know what? That's a good, I like that expense. We're going to keep that expense.
Yeah. So, and then it's like, okay, so it's because I'm moving that off my plate now, again, be really intentional and strategic. And sometimes that's the struggle. That's the downfall, is that we're not being intentional and strategic with our time that we do have allotted and using it on activities that will actually move the needle and bring in new clients that will make sales, not I'm going to spend 4 hours creating pretty social media graphics. Is that really moving? Is that really going to get you a sale? I mean, it's increasing your awareness of your audience, but is it an actual offer? Like, does anyone yet know how to work with you? Because if they don't, no sales.
All right, Jill, so we are at the top of the half hour here. What are some ways that nurses can get around being addicted to this struggle if they are addicted? I think one, acknowledge that you're addicted.
Acknowledge the problem is the first step. For sure. Yeah. Acknowledge that you're repeating this habit and this pattern and the consequence of that, which is an extreme, in general, extreme negative energy that's going to give you more of the same. So is the thing that you're currently struggling with, is it actually going to be what makes the difference of you being able to make an offer? If not, forget it. Like, get to the part where you can, how can I make an offer? If it is essential, then is there a way that you can get help with that? So it's not you. And that will, again, think about what am I willing to sacrifice? My time and how long it's going to take me to get that sale, or my money by paying somebody else who can possibly get me, get that finished. Sometimes it's like they turn around in a day, 2 days, and I would have spent 2 weeks trying to figure it out and still been frustrated. So, recognizing that you're addicted to the struggle. 2, is this really the roadblock that it is, or is it more about an inner game issue that I'm protecting myself from getting out there and making the offer? And look at that. Like, let's work through that. And then remember, it's actually, oh, honey, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about who you're helping. So again, if you could take yourself out of it personally, you don't worry about the fear of failure, fear of judgment. It doesn't matter. You're just offering to help. And if nobody wants it, okay. But how many people out there are struggling with health issues? Like, there's no shortage of gaps in the system. There is no shortage of people who are struggling with health issues the last time I checked. So they're out there. It's just a matter of making the connection and making the match, but can't happen until you actually make offers.
Absolutely. All right, Jill. This was awesome. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and we will see you in the next inner game.
All right, we'll see you next Tuesday, guys.